Story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. In our major story, President Goodluck Jonathan to hold talks with Chad President Idris Deby in N'Djamena over Boko Haram insurgency. Also in this program, Adamawa Acting Governor Ahmed Fintiri emerges PDP candidate for October 11 Adamawa governorship by-election. Youth wing of the Ohanaeze Indigo has given the All Progressives Congress 48 hours to apologize to the former Chief of Army Staff, Azubike Ihejirika, of the labeled an anti-Igbo political party. And outside Nigeria, over 100 people have died and more than 350 villages submerged in India's worst flooding in half a century. And now the details. Determined to forge strong alliance against terrorism and violent extremism with Nigeria's neighbors, President Goodluck Jonathan will hold a talk with Chad President Idris Deby in N'Djamena on Monday. In a statement by Jonathan's spokesman Ruben Abati, Chadian President, who is also the current chairman of the African Union's Peace and Security Council, will host Nigerian President. Monday's meeting is a follow-up to their discussions in Kenya on the sidelines of the African Union Peace and Security Council meeting. President Jonathan and his hosts will discuss the actualization of agreements for greater cooperation against insurgents and terrorists reached by President Nigeria, Chad, Niger and Cameroon at a meeting in Paris earlier this year. The talks are expected to lead to the strengthening of the Paris Accord on joint border patrols, intelligence sharing, and the prevention of illicit movement of terrorists, criminals, and ammunition across shared borders. Boko Haram attack, meanwhile, Boko Haram has attacked Nigerian troops and they've stormed a suspected Boko Haram hideout in Borno State, killing over 50 members. The military said in a statement that the raid followed a tip-off that the insurgents were massing to attack Konduga. An officer and 2 soldiers were seriously wounded during the operation that saw troops seize a fabricated artillery gun, 2 anti-graft guns, an armored vehicle, and assorted ammunition. There is, however, no independent confirmation of the military's claims. Reactions have continued to trail the naming of some leaders in Nigeria sponsors of Boko Haram by the Australian negotiator Steve Davis. A political analyst and lecturer in the Political Science Department, University of Lagos, Dele Ashiru, says the federal government needs to carry out proper investigation into the allegation. Ashiru, who was a guest on a flagship program, Core Digest, says the issue must be investigated in detail to unearth the root causes of the Boko Haram insurgency.
That is how governance, that is what governance is all about. So the negotiator, the alleged sponsor, and the people for which Alimodu Sheriff is saying they are mentioning his name for whatever reason, all of them should please, for goodness sake, be asked to make a statement. They should all have a day with security agencies in Nigeria.
He added that the current insurgency is a reflection of the failure of Nigeria's political system.
What you need is a system that works. The system in Nigeria is not working. And it's not working because the way the state is configured, the way we play our politics, in civilized societies, when elections are coming, you see them engaging in debates of ideas, of issues, etc. You know, well celebrated. And here, once elections are coming, what you see are politics. They will invite them for debate, they will not come. Because they hold the people in contempt. And aside from they are not coming, they buy guns, they buy ammunition, they train jobless youths, you know, and then they destroy the educational sector like they are presently doing, you know, so that they will have a teeming population of either ill-informed, ill-educated youths, badly educated youths, or ignorant youths, illiterates, who will be willing tools.
A group of Muslim professionals known as the Companion has called on all Nigerians and Muslims alike to come together to fight the activities of the Boko Haram sect. The call was made at its annual monthly gathering. The activities of the group has no basis in Islam, they said. The group known as the Companion says the activities of the Boko Haram sect has no basis in Islam, calling on all Nigerians to stand up and be counted in the move to put a stop to its violent activities. The national president, Musbaudin Oyefeso, says activities of the group have shown that it is un-Islamic.
Practically and declaratively, they are not Muslims. Because if they are Muslims, they will not be killing co-Muslims, number one. Number two, they will not even be destroying properties of Muslims, and they will not even be operating in a land where you have very huge Muslim population. So they can never be Muslims, and they are not Muslims. Secondly, Islam abhors violence in any form. We have just been exposed to exceptions to violence or situations where Muslims can defend themselves, not even unleash violence on anybody for any reason.
Lagos State Amir of the group, Majim Yusuf, says though groups such as Boko Haram and the Islamic State are Muslims by birth, but they are a misguided bunch of people who have twisted the tenets of Islam to further their selfish and violent desires.
Both groups, Boko Haram and ISIS, made up of Muslims, no doubt, would appear to be made up of misguided Muslims. They transgress the limits set by Allah and acceptable to Islam, and their activities are generally un-Islamic, and for that reason I join other Muslims in condemning the activities of ISIS and Boko Haram.
The group rose from its meeting with a resolve to continue to educate Muslims on the activities of groups like Boko Haram and Islamic State as un-Islamic and one they should fight. The Organizer Indigo Youth Wing has threatened to label the All Progressives Congress an anti-Igbo political party if it fails to apologize to former Chief of Army Staff Azubike Yejirika within 48 hours. The Organizer Youth Wing issued a statement jointly signed by its National Secretary Emmanuel Inabuike and Publicity Secretary Obinna Adibe. The statement followed APC's demand for Ihejirike's prosecution over alleged sponsorship of the Boko Haram sect. The APC demanded Ihejirike's prosecution in the wake of claims made by an Australian negotiator, Stephen Davis. The group expressed regrets that the APC did not bother to ascertain the veracity of its allegations before calling for Ihejirike's prosecution. Organizer youths added that Ihejirike deserved an apology from the APC since the Department of State Security has now absolved him of any involvement with Boko Haram. The group noted that Davis did not provide any evidence or motivation for Ihejirike to sponsor Boko Haram. The Secretary to Borno State Government, Baba Jida, has raised alarm over the activities of the members of Boko Haram sect in the state. He says most part of the state is now being occupied by members of the dreaded sect. Jida advised the state and its people to be silent on any discussion concerning 2015 elections for now. He also advised politicians across political divide to de-emphasize discussions on 2015 in the state or anywhere in the country in the face of rampaging onslaught by the Boko Haram insurgents. Jida says the normal governmental, economic, social and political activities have been dislocated in Borno State. He also said huge numbers of displaced persons are now living in refugee camps in Maiduguri, neighboring states, as well as Niger, Chad and Cameroon. Jida regretted that in spite of the security challenge facing the state, the Independent National Electoral Commission has fixed October 3rd for a by-election for Jere local House of Assembly constituency in the state. It says it will be callous for anyone to be scheming for any political office in the precarious situation in the state. The SSG called for a stakeholder summit of eminent citizens of Northeast Zone, irrespective of ethnic, political and religious affiliations, to articulate broad-based solutions to the threat posed by the insurgents. Former Vice President and Chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Atiku Abubakar, has called for an urgent meeting of stakeholders in Adamawa State to ensure a free and fair governorship election on October 11. Atiku made the call against the backdrop of the need to maintain security amidst fears that the prevailing emergency rule could affect the election. He noted that the meeting is necessary because a recent poll showed that 55% of adult Nigerians want the emergency rule imposed on the 3 states in the Northeast region lifted before the 2015 elections. Atiku said the envisaged meeting will come up with modalities for ensuring a free and fair election in an emergency rule in Adamawa State. He, however, observed that the emergency rule in Adamawa State calls to question the expected level playing field which the government is supposed to provide for all political parties. The acting governor of Adamawa State, Umar Fintiri, has won the governorship primary of the People's Democratic Party, enabling him to contest on the ticket of the party for the Adamawa governorship election on October 11. Fintiri defeated his rivals by securing 624 votes, while his closest rival, former Executive Secretary of Universal Basic Education, Ahmed Modibo, scored 197 votes. Former military administrator of Lagos State, Buba Marwa, came a distant third with 54 votes. The primary, which stretched into the early hours of Sunday morning, was adjudged free and fair. The candidate of the All Progressives Congress is expected to emerge on Sunday, 7th September. Meanwhile, the former Lagos and Borno State military administrator Buba Marwa and Umar Ado have commended the leadership of the People's Democratic Party for the way it handled the governorship by-election primary held on Saturday. The 2 gubernatorial aspirants who contested the PDP primary election that resulted to the emergence of the Adamawa acting governor Amadu Umaru Fintiri, Buba Marwa and Umar Adel say they have accepted the outcome of the party primary in good faith. Marwa stated this at a post-primary election press briefing held at his residence in Yola, noting that every step taken during the election was appropriate and in accordance with the constitution of the party. Kwara State chapter of the National Youth Council says it has endorsed Kwara State's Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed to continue for a 2nd term in office. Chairman of the council in the state, Kazim Adekonye, says over 1 million youths have unanimously endorsed Governor Ahmed for his 2nd term in office. He made the statement in his address during a solidarity visit to the governor at the Government House in Ilorin. Adekonye attributed the endorsement to the governor's achievement in the area of youth development and provision of employment. Responding, Governor Ahmed advised the political class not to politicize the future of Nigerian youths, but to adequately equip the youth for nation building. He added he advised the youths not to mortgage their future by selling their votes during the 2015 general elections. The governor promised to establish a Ministry of Youth Development from the present Ministry of Sports and Youth Development to accelerate youth development activities in the state. The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared Shem Nuhu Zagbayi of the People's Democratic Party winner of Niger East senatorial by-election. The returning officer for the election, Wale Moreni Keji, who announced the results, says Zagbayi polled 92,056 votes against David Umaru of the All Progressives Congress, who polled 87,405 votes, while Issa Bello of All Progressives Grand Alliance and Abdullahi Diko of Social Democratic Party scored 2,185 and 419 votes respectively. Moreni Keji said total number of registered voters is 149,851 and total number of accredited voters who participated in the election stands at 205,000 votes 765. He said total number of valid votes is 182,137. Number of rejected votes 8,042, and total number of votes cast during the exercise is 190,179. As part of efforts to keep the Nigerian Navy in shape, Western Naval Command has organized a 3-day small arms firing exercise for officers and ratings. Omotayola was at the Nigerian Army shooting range, Owode, where the exercise took place, and filed in the report.
Not just observing, but having a feel of what it means to hit a target by the naval officers. The 3-day small arms firing exercise is aimed at improving the weapon handling skills of personnel and developing intuitive response to the initiative under battle conditions. The exercise witnessed a lot of impressive performance as officers proved their worth in hitting targets from afar. At the closing ceremony, the first demonstration was the helicopter shooting exercise. Then officers on their training showcased what they have learned in the past 3 days. The special guest of honor, Director General Nimasa, represented by his deputy Sunday Umorin, expressed satisfaction at the command's training skills aimed at preparing them for eventuality.
As reported, it's been quite a success in terms of the degree of accuracy and show of professionalism. So it's a clear indication that we can all go home and be sleeping, knowing that the good guys are doing the good job for us.
Declaring the command's determination to continue in the spirit of marksmanship, the Flag Officer Commandant Western Naval Command, Sami Alade, represented by the Command Chief Staff Officer, Etim Etifit, says he is confident of an excellent performance if the command is called for external competition of small arms handling skills.
I'm sure we've always been ready and will always be ready. And from what we have all witnessed today, there's no doubt that the Navy is on top of its job, and we are ever ready.
The small arms fire exercise is one of the most important events in the Nigerian Navy calendar, usually organized annually across the Federation. Prevention, they say, is better than cure. Right at the Nigerian Army shooting range, Owode, Ogun State, the Nigerian Navy Western Command have once again showed and exhibited the importance of training and preparedness towards attacking and fighting the enemies of the Nigerian waters. Omotayola, CoreTV News, Ogun State.
Nigeria's aviation authorities have ordered a total review of the security system at all airports across the country. We'll bring you these details and more right after this break. Don't go away.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes, and bleeding from the eyes, ears, and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces, or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people.
Until the end of our time as the legitimate authority to govern this country.
Give me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before he perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of our own state and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
Thank you for being there. Nigeria's aviation authorities have ordered a total review of the security system at all airports across the country. Minister of Aviation Osita Chidoka disclosed this during an on-the-spot assessment of ongoing construction work at the Abuja airport. The minister maintained that his focus is to ensure safety in the air and security of passengers. Pius Samuel reports.
For some time now, airports across the country have been upgraded to enhance passengers' convenience and safety. But government is still not satisfied with the safety and security system in place around the airports. Now, Aviation Minister Osita Chidoka is determined to put a stop to what he considers as security lapses. He is prepared to channel available resources towards ensuring the safety of Nigeria's airspace.
And the safety of air freight and passengers. So we're talking to airline operators, we're talking to NCAA inspectors, and we're making sure that we focus greatly on the safety of our airspace.
During the inspection, the minister was satisfied with the level of work that is ongoing.
I've also tried to see that my predecessor has done very well in the terminal remodeling and the building. So there's no new thing to add there. All we need to do is to focus and complete the work that's already started.
Passengers in recent times have had cause to complain over what they describe as slow pace of work at the airport. But the minister was quick to announce when the Abuja terminal will be fully ready for use.
The work is going on well, but there's a lot of disruption to passenger operations. So part of our strategy will be to communicate more with the passengers to let them know that these are temporary inconveniences. Within now and the next 4 to 6 months, we hope to get the full terminal up and running in domestic area. So the walkthrough and the suffering that the passengers are going through will be a thing of the past.
Before now, Nigeria has had its fair share of air mishaps, but with the current upgrade of the security and air safety system, the authorities are convinced that the country will regain its Category 1 air safety certification. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has declared a gubernatorial aspirant in Bauchi State, Abdullahi Usman Adamu, alias Dan China, wanted. The politician is wanted by the anti-graft agency for allegedly obtaining $500,000 from a Chinese company by false pretense. EFCC says that the suspect obtained the money from the Chinese firm as part of payments for the supply of 3,000 metric tons of lead ore, but failed to deliver on the contract. The commission later invited him based on a petition from the Chinese embassy, but he failed to honor the invitation. The suspect is currently on the run as efforts to track him, including several visits to his home in Narabi, Bauchi, proved futile. In another development, the anti-graft agency has also declared one Godswill Oyegwa Oyoyo, an information technology staff of a new generation bank, wanted over a case of multi-billion fraud case. Godswill allegedly conspired with some scammers and obtained 6.2 billion naira from his bank after hacking into the bank's database. The 38-year-old is from Isuku South local government area of Delta State. An educationist, Coleman Ajiboye, says he is not comfortable with government's decision to tinker with the resumption of schools over Ebola virus. He told CoreTV News in Abuja that government officials should be considering extending Ebola sensitization program to schools.
Extending the
the resumption of students, I don't think it has a serious meaning to eradication or prevention of Ebola. There is no school that is as crowded, for example, as a Wuse market or Maraba market. Why is it that markets are not closed? So it is even from the engine room where we can get knowledge on how to eradicate Ebola that you are closing down. So you are shutting down a knowledge, not preventing a escalation of Ebola. Therefore, to me personally, you are going to put the students into a serious or a kind of aggression in their studies because they have to meet up with finishing their syllabus. I think universities or tertiary institutions, they are in session. So what is the difference? What is the population of students in the universities, polytechnics, and that of secondary schools and primary schools? So what is it that government is really preventing?
Football has been identified as a major source of empowerment and grassroots development. Sports analysts who spoke at the Osun State five-a-side football competition say football can be used as a tool for national development. Rashid was at the final match of the competition and filed in this report.
Osun State five-a-side football competition was organized to enhance unity and encourage youth who have the talent of the sport. The final match, slugged out between 3FC of Ifonrodu and Greater Tomorrow of Ilesha, went in favor of 3FC as they defeated their opponent with 3-1. Sports analysts say that competitions like this is good in discovering talents and will eventually make Nigeria football a shining one in the Committee of Nations.
Let us allow those who are campaigning on the local scene, more of them to come into the Super Eagles, fight for shirts. And you can see that many of them are determined. They want to make names. Some of those who are part of the Super Eagles of today have made their names. Many of them might not even want to put in their best in order to protect themselves from getting injuries.
When we talk about youth football, when we say under 17, under 17 we look at under 20. No continuation. Look at Argentina team. It was the same Argentina team that played Nigeria in 2007. That Argentina team that defeated us in 2007. Same team who defeated Nigeria 2010 World Cup. It was the same team that defeated Nigeria in the Olympic. It was the same team again that defeated us sometimes. Continuation, but in Nigeria, no continuation.
While presenting medals and trophies to runners-ups and the winner, sponsor of the competition, Lawrence Ayeni, says it is important to empower youth through competitions like this. Captain of the winning team, 3FC Football Club, expressed joy and gratitude for his team's victory.
Make sure you develop human being, and that is what I've been doing. And I want to tell all my people, those people that empower and those people that have something to back up that they should have in mind that they should, they are like this. They should extend it to the populace, especially those people that voted us to the position.
I'm so happy today about this competition because we are grateful. We thank God. I'm so happy. I'm so happy again for my teams. We are proud of this state and we are proud of Nigeria generally.
Some of the sports enthusiasts spoken to say youth empowerment through sporting activities will go a long way in eradicating social vices and criminal activities among the youths. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilesha.
That report brings us to another break on CoreTV Primetime News. After the break, we'll bring you other stories outside Nigeria. Don't go away.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes, and bleeding from the eyes, ears, and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces, or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Thank you for being there. Soldiers are battling to rescue thousands of people trapped in Indian Kashmir's worst flooding for half a century, which has left more than 100 people dead and the main city of Srinagar underwater. 350 villages have also been submerged since torrential monsoon rains triggered flooding across the Pishchak Himalayan region of Jammu and Kashmir. Across the border in Pakistan, landslides, flash flooding and houses collapsed from days of heavy rain, leaving about 128 people dead. The Jhelum River, swollen by heavy rain, flooded large parts of Srinagar and forced frantic residents onto rooftops. Hundreds of troops, police and other emergency personnel backed by helicopters and boats have been deployed across the state to reach those stranded, with 11,000 people rescued so far, officials say. Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew to the remote region to meet Abdullah and emergency response officials amid concerns the death toll could rise. Gunfire and heavy shelling rocked a key frontline city in eastern Ukraine overnight, raising fears that a truce between government and rebel forces had already collapsed. Numerous explosions rattled the night sky and thick smoke was visible on the horizon of Mariupol, a strategic government-held port city on the Azov Sea in the southeast of the country. Residents spoke of their panic as the fighting erupted, with gunfire and shelling that damaged buildings and vehicles. The renewed violence started just hours after a phone call between Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, who agreed that the ceasefire signed on Friday was generally being observed. The 12-point pact was the first to gain the backing of both Kiev and Moscow after 5 months of fighting that has claimed around 2,800 lives and triggered the deepest crisis in East-West relations for a generation. The fresh violence threatened a repeat of the unilateral ceasefire called by Kiev in June, which collapsed within days. The crisis between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip has completely crumbled the aviation sector in Gaza. The once busy airport is now a shadow of itself, dashing hopes of a Palestinian sovereignty. In this report, correspondent takes a look at Gaza without an airport. The report.
Walking through the rooms of where they used to work, Anis and Wassam were air traffic controllers during the short existence of Gaza's airport.
This was the main entrance for the cars, and here was the parking area. This is the main building for travelers. This part was for departures, and this part for arrivals.
From the main passenger terminal to the VIP area, only traces of what used to be. Symbolically inaugurated in 1998 by Bill Clinton and late Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat during peace negotiations, the airport represented a step towards Palestinian sovereignty, but hope faded fast. Israel bombed the Radar Tower in 2001 during the second Palestinian uprising in Gaza. It has been closed ever since.
When you see this building and you see the ruins of Yasser Arafat International Airport, it brings tears to your eyes. It's painful. You feel a sense of loss.
I remember here there was grass and gardens and roses and nice things. The window of my office was here.
The airport is regularly targeted by Israeli airstrikes, including during the latest offensive. These 50 days of fighting ended with a ceasefire agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. Further talks between the two sides are due to take place in Cairo, and the airport is a key demand.
Israel, the occupying forces, need to allow us the entry of these materials for that airport until the airport has been rebuilt as it was before it was targeted.
Today, there are only two ways out of Gaza for Palestinians, one through Israel, another through Egypt. But since the beginning of Israel's blockade of the enclave in 2006, residents face severe restrictions at both crossings. According to the UN, opening the airport would not only grant Gazians freedom of movement, but also boost the economy.
If they were able to, for instance, export textiles or woods, that would be a great opportunity for them to be able to shift this cargo on an airlift. I mean, it will be tremendously beneficial.
The airport is now home to young men looking for scrap metal to sell, as well as a different breed of visitor. Passengers won't return until an agreement is reached to let Gazians make use of their skies again.
And that's the CoreTV Primetime News tonight. On behalf of the production crew, I am Ebolomo Adekule saying have a pleasant week ahead. Thank you.